Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you fresh, high-quality ingredients to cook delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/twit. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/Android. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 299, recorded on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017. For your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards, and I'm blown away that it's $299.
$299. You know what that means? You know what that means?
Next week is the big 300.
How did this happen? How 300? What happened? It's like
Jason, every Tuesday we came and did a show, and we did that 300 times.
I'm happy you explained that to me because I really did not understand the machinations of how this works. No, seriously, I can't believe that it's almost 300. I can't believe that next week is episode 300. Or that this week is 299 because that's impressive too.
Yes, it's so impressive. I'm excited for our big 299th episode that we have an awesome guest.
That's right. We do not have, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Flo is not here this week. She's covering the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. It hasn't started yet, though you'd never know it because there's tons of news from CS that we'll talk about a little bit later. But joining us in her absence is none other than Derek Ross, who is contributing writer at Fandroid. How's it going, Derek?
Hey, it's great to be here. You know, I sound like I need a drum roll here with that lead up, but I'm happy to be here. CES is going on. I hope Flo is having a heck of a time. I'm not there this year, obviously, but I'm happy to be here the episode before your 300th milestone.
Listen, Derek, all eyes may be on episode 300, but there can only be one episode 299 guest, and that's you. So, yeah. Exactly. But today, and I'm glad that we're all part of the No CES Club. This is the stay home, comfy, and watch it from home.
Mm-hmm. So. I don't want to be at your party anyways. I just have better things to do.
Yeah, who needs the exercise walking around, 20 miles a day on concrete in a convention center and the parties afterwards,
getting drinks at bars and stuff with people that you haven't seen in a long time. Yeah.
It's just not fun. I mean, what it boils down to, it's just not fun.
Yeah, it's really not.
I think the idea of CES is what's fun, but actual CES is not as fun.
Yeah, like there are parts that are cool. It's cool sometimes to see the technology, although once you've been there a couple of years, I think you get a little jaded and you're like, okay, yeah, great. There's another piece of technology that I can see for 5 minutes and I have to fight, to get to the front of the line, blah, blah, blah. But it's like kind of the connection aspect with people that you haven't seen in a while. Sometimes there's like a shared event that's pretty neat. But all in all, you get to the end of the trip and then I think the official statistics are 100% guaranteed to get sick. I think it's 100%.
No, actually, Jason, this year was upgraded to 120%.
Oh, okay. So you're guaranteed to get sick.
Yeah, so not only are you definitely going to get sick, you're going to get sick much worse than you thought you would.
Actually, there's a lot of truth to that. How often have you been in the past, Derek? You've been to CES a few times?
Yeah, I've been there 3 times. I was there last year and then, 2012 and 13. Okay. Didn't go in 14, but, I was there last year.
So you've been there.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot to complain about, but I enjoy, like you said, the aspect of meeting people from the tech and mobile, Android, community that you see at these type of events. Friends that you and colleagues you might only know, online that you get to hang out with. So I enjoy it for the social aspect. I mean, the tech is cool, but I like the social.
Of course, the tech is why anyone goes there to begin with, so that's important.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
So we're going to talk.
World here.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk all about CES 2017. Of course, like I said, it hasn't even officially started yet. Like the official start of this is in 2 days on Thursday. But the way it always works out is that everybody shows up on Monday, starting Monday night, Tuesday morning. All of these announcements start snowballing. So we've got a bunch of those in this show. And then I'm imagining next week on episode 300, I'll just say that again, there will probably be more news from CES to talk about, more announcements that have not happened yet. So we've got a bunch of hardware announcements that we'll discuss. We're also going to be discussing the death of CyanogenMod. Notice mod at the end of that. And the birth of Lineage OS. And then also Nielsen has its top downloaded apps of last year. So that's interesting. We'll check in on that and a whole lot more. Before we get to the news, because I like to throw Josh off. By the way, welcome back to the show, Josh. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Good to have Mr. Mac and Josh on the ones and the twos. Before we get into the news, why is there a disco ball suddenly over there? That's so strange. From the break, this happened while we were gone, but I thought it was worth mentioning because of the history in this show. TechCrunch has sources that say Google I/O will once again move back to Moscone. What do you think, Ron?
Can I please get a "you were right, Ron" bumper or something? Did I call it or what? Yeah. I told you it wasn't going to stay down in Mountain View. I knew it.
It's so, but okay, while we were there, they were all like, when we do this again next year, we should really blah, 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 blah.
Of course, because the people saying that aren't involved in the organization of the event.
Yeah, that's true.
And all you got to do is look at the Moscone website lays out all of the events over the year. They didn't book it in time. That's why it was down in Mountain View. I'm totally not surprised. And Flo is going to have to tell me that I was right next week when she comes back.
Yes, she will have to repent. What do you think, Derek? Did you make it to I/O this year?
Not this past year, no. And I remember, Ron, whenever you said that you felt that they didn't book it in time, and I didn't want to believe you either. I thought, you know what, this is the new Google. That they're trying to change the whole atmosphere. But then as the date approaches, really start thinking about it. What sense does it make to put a bunch of developers out in the sun, for hours and hours and hours on end? Like, it just, from everybody that I talked to that was there, said that it was just a horrible event just because it was outside. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they're going to not have the same Google Festival type event again. It makes sense to try back again at Moscone like they've had in the past.
Now, bravo to them for trying something different. I think that's cool. But, I think it was more because of the scheduling issues than it was for the desire to do something different. Jason, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say this is based, by the way, on just like a very random comment in this article about Google hitting the reset button from TechCrunch. It's like, from what I've heard, based on sources, but I don't know if it's anything super official. So this could be complete hearsay. We will certainly wait and see. There were elements of this I/O that I actually really liked being outside because I enjoy being outside, I guess. But as a tech conference, it wasn't as effective in that environment. For other reasons, it was fun. But
I'm gonna tell you, Jason. Oh, well, I don't know now. Maybe I don't want to get too prophetic here. I need to look at the calendar. Oh, that's probably not accurate.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, no. I think I could tell you the dates of Google I/O.
Oh, Ron, this
maybe I don't know. I mean,
could this be?
It depends.
Is this breaking? Do you know?
No. I don't know. No, but the thing is that
it's too early to tell. But maybe by 300, episode 300.
It's possible.
Maybe,
it's possible.
Well, no, I'll tell you right here, Josh. I put it into our chat. No secret. It's public. The Moscone Center website lists their events. And they've got them listed out through December 2017. And if you look there, after June 5th, they got nothing else announced through the rest of June. So it's going to be after June. It's probably going to be after June 6th or later before July 1st. It's going to be in that window. Put my money down right now. That's when it's going to be. So.
Let's see here. I mean, that's the rest of the month. So that actually, it's a big block, but there's nothing booked. Sure. So you're probably right. Because
it looks like May is all booked up unless they go early May. They're not going to go around Memorial Day. My guess is it's going to be it's probably going to be the week of June 12th. That's my guess. So
I'm wondering if it might be a little bit later than that, but we don't know. We're just speculating here. Cool. Thanks for digging that up because it's actually very interesting because they wouldn't list it here until it was officially announced. So it's probably going to be somewhere within that. That makes sense. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into the arena. Oh, sorry, not the arena. Let's go to news. Dang it.
It's a new year, 2017, which means out with the old and in with the Android news.
Yes. Joyous.
What a great start to the year, Josh. That was amazing. That was great. Good job.
That was triumphant. See, you did it. I'm the one that messed it up by trying to throw to the arena. That's me shaking the cobwebs of a whole week off for holiday. But there was a lot of news while we were away for holiday. Over the break, there was the news that Cyanogen Inc., Cyanogen Incorporated, would officially shut down all of its sources as a New Year's gift. Basically, they just kind of announced suddenly that, at the end of this year, in a few days, we're shutting down all the services. Sorry. Have fun figuring things out. Another casualty of the breakdown of Cyanogen Incorporated was the open source CyanogenMod, which I think we all just assumed would continue on because it was open source, community driven, that sort of stuff. Nightly builds, development, and any financing provided to CyanogenMod from Cyanogen Incorporated would wrap up as the company focuses on its own modular OS program. We know very few details about that. We just know that that's kind of the plan from the incoming CEO going forward. Users of current safe builds of CyanogenMod will now effectively not receive any future updates. Cyanogen services, of course, aren't going to work anymore. So pieces of CyanogenMod, and the services intertwined are kind of breaking. So that's probably part of the reason why it's not going to continue. And apparently the advice is to download the safest version that you have for your device right now to keep it as up to date as possible because that's where the train ends.
Stop what you're doing and download it right now.
If you only have enough bandwidth to do one thing and you're streaming this, stop for a second, download it, and then start restreaming. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but seriously, this is important stuff. And what's even more complicated about this is that there are a lot of alternative ROMs that are based off of stable CyanogenMod versions. So, I mean, this doesn't just affect CyanogenMod. This affects a whole wide range of ROMs.
Yeah, the whole entire ROM community is really affected by this. It's kind of strange to really see the ripple effects of the CyanogenMod's unfortunate downfall.
And sudden, because I did not expect that CyanogenMod would be affected in any way. I just assumed, it's open source, it's community run, so it's going to continue on. It has nothing to do with Cyanogen Inc. That's their arm of making money. Their consumer focused approach. That has nothing to do with here. Well, apparently it does. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'd say that I'm not surprised. It does seem kind of sudden, like you said, Jason. But sadly, this Cyanogen Inc. has been spiraling towards this for a while. Yeah. I'll say ever since the we're going to put a bullet through Google's head comments were made, right around that time, things. Community-wise, the thought, the image of the company changed really after that, in my opinion. But I think that it is going to be good because I remember hearing at the Big Android Barbecue a few years ago, watching Steve Kondik, Cyanogen, talk about his vision for what he thought the perfect Android phone was. And I think they were really close to achieving that, but then working with hardware partners they kind of had to wheel and deal, so to speak, to get that vision across, and it never really came to Steve's true fruition. So I'm hopeful that with what rises from the ashes of this will be something more close to his vision. But also, they're going to supposedly, get back to their roots. That's the name of their new initiative. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think you mentioned it yet, so sorry for jumping the gun there, but Lineage OS, I think that with that, they will hopefully get back some of their community support that was kind of lost, and community love that was kind of lost with the whole transition from CyanogenMod to Ink. And that, part of that maybe, Jason, is why they do want to separate themselves from the name, because there's a lot of unfortunate hate, in the Android community towards Cyanogen Ink, CyanogenMod. So maybe they just cut ties altogether and start with a new brand name that allows them to, distance themselves from that.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that, but I think that's that must be a big reason for this, because you're right. It's interesting that something like CyanogenMod that has such a storied history in the world of Android, for the community effects that, for the effect that it had with community and developers and all that kind of stuff, has such a long storied history that arcs so severely, where it's just like love. Oh wait, Cyanogen happened. Bullet through Google's head. Oh God, get out quick, jump. And I mean, and at one point it was beloved, and then at another point it became very kind of, I don't know, it just became very very split, I suppose, as far as the opinion. People were still using it. It still happens to be one of the most distributed kind of, I would say, community driven ROMs of Android out there. You could find so much hardware support through CyanogenMod than I would guess you could find through the majority of ROMs out there, although I'm just guessing because I've been out of the ROM kind of community for the past couple of years. I haven't been super connected with it the way I was, but at least at the time, if you wanted something that you knew could run on your random whatever you have device, it was likely that it was going to be CyanogenMod because that community support was there. So it's interesting.
It was really the go-to option for going with the mod, but I feel like it really declined. The need to it declined as Android I feel like the scale shifted over the past couple of years. Where it became less Android was less of a hackery kind of phone for the masses. Of course, there's still the dedicated, technically savvy kind of audience, a lot like the folks who are watching the show. But the average user, the idea of putting their own ROM on became more and more alienated. And I really think, Cyanogen is going to go down as one of the biggest, sad stories of Android in the history, because really they were like a David and Goliath who lost. I know when they spun off the company and they had all these great, plans, we were rooting for them. We're like, this community-based thing is going to grow into this really cool thing, and then just it kind of went off the rails, and it's really sad to see it go this way, and that's why I wasn't surprised. There it is.
That's necessary. I think we need this song right now to really kind of be connected with what the reality is here. Although, if we had a record scratch, we could play it. And out of the ashes of CyanogenMod, as you were saying, Derek, Lineage OS, made up of members of CyanogenMod. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sure. All right. Yeah, that kind of works. Feels like New Year's again. Sure, I'll take it. CyanogenMod team, including Steve Kondik, who, as we know, helped create CyanogenMod in the beginning, and who recently left Cyanogen Inc. They are all hard at work, apparently, on this new fork called Lineage OS. Completely community-driven, no ties to a larger company like Cyanogen Inc., although there's no real word on an official release date of the first version, but we know that they're working on it. They've announced as much, and that you can find more information on that at lineageos.org, and then all over the map and social networks and stuff.
But most important, they have a logo.
Oh, they do have a logo.
Yeah, they do have a logo.
At least we know there's something serious happening
here. It's a real thing with a logo that doesn't look anything like Cyanogen and doesn't look anything like Lineage. It just looks like some circles.
It almost reminds me of like a partial Steam logo.
It kind of looks like a Steam logo. You're right.
Yep.
There we go. There it is.
So I don't know. When I look at that, I think of Lineage. I think of operating systems. It just really speaks from a branding standpoint.
I didn't even think to like try and break it apart. But why do you think? Is that? No,
I'm being sarcastic. It doesn't look like any of that.
No. I know, but now I'm actually really trying to figure out exactly why. Like when it comes to logo design, I mean, I have to imagine there's at least. And I'm not saying that they did or did not do this, but there is some sort of thought into this is what we stand for. Let's represent it in a logo. So what does this mean?
We need the designer to tell us what it means. That's unfortunately what we're going to have to wait for, I guess.
I mean, does it mean that there's branches of a main code structure going off from Lineage? Probably something like that.
And making something bigger. Like pieces coming together and making something bigger. That's the analysis.
That could be it. Okay. Yeah. See, this is probably a thing, right? Breaking apart logos.
Absolutely.
So there we go. Ron, you have the next story. This is all related in this top block.
So continued fallout. Cyanogen Inc. As Derek mentioned, was working to try to, connect with hardware manufacturers and get Cyanogen running on their phones. One such manufacturer was Wiley Fox, who is a low to mid-tier manufacturer and whose phones all ran Cyanogen software through their partnership with Cyanogen Inc. So if you own a Wiley Fox phone, you're probably wondering, oh no, what do I do? An over-the-air update is going to be arriving for all Wiley Fox phones to help migrate away from Cyanogen and towards a pure Android OS experience. And then they're going to be working on their own software updates to bring Nougat to their Wiley Fox phones, and they're saying Nougat is going to be coming as early as February, but no later than the end of Q1. So they're scrambling to make sure their customers have options for the future. And that's the greatness of Android, is that they can do that. It's not Cyanogen goes under and they don't lose their complete branch of Android. They've got to scramble and do some work, but they're able to leverage the already open source available options for Android for their customers.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see any of the Wiley Fox devices.
I've never seen one in the wild. If you own a Wiley,
had one on the show.
Yeah, if you own a Wiley Fox phone, please write in and send us a photo or show us, because I've never seen one in the wild.
Well, and I was kind of like looking at some of the comments in like Reddit posts about this particular topic, and some people, many owners of Wiley Fox devices, have been getting these updates. It has not sounded like it was in any way seamless whatsoever. Some people are like, it keeps rejecting it, or I did it and now my phone has all these issues and everything. So, but I feel for a company like Wiley Fox. You put your eggs in this one basket, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, seemingly, that basket falls apart, and you got to scramble and do something else. And so they're kind of stuck in a bad place.
It's a shame on all sides. It's a shame that Wiley Fox, they have to deal with this. It's a shame for the customers that have to deal with this. I mean, maybe a customer bought that phone because they wanted a CyanogenMod phone, and now they're going to not have one. Or maybe they just bought it because it was a low-cost phone that worked, but now they're going to be getting software from, I mean, who knows what their experience is with Android operating system compared to the minds behind CyanogenMod. But like you said, Jason, some of the reports are, it's not the greatest transition so far. So I feel for everybody here. It just sucks.
Sucks.
You're going to most likely get a lesser experience until they get the bugs ironed out, until they get a little more experience under their belt. Maybe not, but it sounds like that there's some issues in the beginning, and that just, I mean, nobody wants a phone that isn't stable and is buggy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do at that point.
Yeah, we got an email that's kind of along this line. Like, I'm sure if you have a Wiley Fox phone and you have CyanogenMod, you could go the AOSP route or go Lineage whenever that happens to come out. Greg Benson Shettle wrote in to AAA at twit.tv and says, with the sad but not altogether unexpected news that Cyanogen are closing their door as of the 1st of January 2017 and will no longer be supported. What do you think we should do with our OnePlus phones that are still going strong with CyanogenMod? 1, do nothing and rely on antivirus programs. I would probably not recommend that. 2, back up everything, install Oxygen OS, which Oxygen OS is OnePlus's version of Android, and start reinstalling things. Or 3, get a new phone when the current ones work just fine. It seems like overkill, especially with Andromeda on the horizon later in the year 2017. Although we don't actually know whether it is on the horizon. Hiroshi Lockheimer himself was on this show and kind of alluded to the fact that something like that wasn't happening. But of course he's going to say that if it in fact is happening and they want to keep it secret. Anyways, you make up your own mind there. Greg says, yes, I did say phones as both my wife and I have the OnePlus One and they are still going strong. This is a hard one. What do you think, Ron?
I mean, I think it's got to be number 2. I think you do the backup and then you switch over to Oxygen. I think that's what I would do if I had the phone, personally.
And I'm okay with Oxygen OS. In my experience with it, I didn't have it. There was nothing there for me to not like about it. I actually personally thought it made the phone run a little bit smoother. It seemed a little more stock, but that was right in the beginning when they started transitioning away from Cyanogen, when all that stuff started going down, and they really kind of started moving everybody over on the OnePlus One to the Oxygen OS. I thought it was fine, but maybe it's not as customizable. I don't know where it's developed to at this point, but I think you're right. You throw that on there, and then once Lineage OS comes out, I'm sure they're going to support the OnePlus One, especially considering the history that the OnePlus devices have with Cyanogen. I would expect there to be some sort of support there. What do you think, Derek? Do you have any thoughts on the best approach?
I had the OnePlus X with Oxygen OS, so I'm going to say that if that's something you want to try, go ahead. It's a nice OS. I do like their drawer, their launcher. It's a kind of unique taste. But also, if you like to live on the edge, there's unofficial builds for the OnePlus One of Lineage OS available right now. So that device tree is going to be supported, it sounds like, eventually. But there are unofficial builds that I've seen people talking about on Reddit and on XDA. I don't know their stability. So if you want something that's really stable, like Jason was saying, probably Oxygen OS would be your choice. But hey, if you want to live on the edge, you have that option too. It's the beauty of Android.
Yes.
Don't sing Aerosmith on the show, please.
Sorry, you say living on the edge and it just pops in there. Okay? I can't help it. I'm noticing little chasms between Ron and I's music history. I was never big.
I understand the history. It's the musical tastes. That's
Ron doesn't like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. To that, I'm like, whatever.
And Aerosmith is like fingernails on a blackboard.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Oh. Doesn't solve the problem that those songs are stuck in my brain because I grew up around it through osmosis. Right. That's what we have to say about Cyanogen. We'll check in definitely on the development of Lineage OS and see where that goes. And of course, if Cyanogen does anything else worth talking about, we'll talk about it too. This episode, let's thank a sponsor real quick here. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by our sponsor, Blue Apron. Ron, you've got this. I apologize.
I was gonna let you run with it, but I'll gladly talk about my friends at Blue Apron and thank them for supporting the show. Listen, I love to cook. I hate to think of recipes to make, and I hate to go shopping, and that's why I love Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone while supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with fresh, high-quality ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals, and I'm a proud member of that community of home chefs. I love cooking Blue Apron recipes, and the reason why I love it is because each meal comes with this awesome step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card. In addition to the recipe card that shows you everything that you got to do to make the recipe, you get all of the ingredients in the proper amounts. It drove me crazy when I try to cook recipes and I only need a quarter of a cup of onions, and I got to buy a whole onion, and then I got 3/4 of an onion sitting in my fridge going unused. Blue Apron just sends you the ingredients you need so that you can prepare each meal in 40 minutes or less, and it helps you save time and money. Shopping at the grocery store is 60% more expensive than Blue Apron. So it's just a great option. And listen, if you spend a lot of money by going out to eat at restaurants or shopping at high-end grocery chains, you can now spend under $10 per person for healthy home-cooked meals. You can customize your recipes every week based on your dietary preferences and choose the delivery option that fits your needs. There's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. You can pick what day you receive the recipes. If you've got specific, if you're vegetarian or whatnot, they've got options. They've got great recipes for you waiting for you to cook them. Blue Aprons delivers to 99% of the continental U.S., and they set the highest quality standards for their community of over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. Blue Apron not only supports a more sustainable food system, it supports happy and healthy families. Cooking together builds strong family bonds, and research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times as often. New recipes are created every week by Blue Apron's culinary team and are not repeated within a year, which is awesome. And they've got some great stuff. For example, they got a steak and green peppercorn sauce with kale and roasted potato, which is fantastic. Seared pork chops with farro, Brussels sprouts, and cranberry chutney. Those are just a couple of the recipes that I've loved to cook so far from Blue Apron. Great ingredients, great recipes, and they make dinner something I look forward to not only eating but also preparing. So check out this week's menu, and you get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. And think about that. 3 meals and free shipping, totally free, not a penny down, 3 free meals, free shipping. That's awesome. Give them a try. Check it out. And we thank Blue Apron for their support of All About Android. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Thank you, Blue Apron, for making me hungry every week. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. It's time for some CES hardware.
All right. Just going right. This is the Ron show. All right. So as we mentioned earlier, we're on the eve of CES, and we're already starting to get announcements. So we've got some great hardware to go through, some interesting stuff. Something that I was fascinated by when I saw this announcement. Dish announced a new set-top box called the AirTV Player. And in addition to looking like a Fisher-Price My TV box, a recycled joke that I made on TNT earlier today. It runs on Android TV, which I like to hear, and it's got support for Sling TV, Netflix, and over-the-air TV from an antenna. That's really interesting. So they've got 4K streaming, which includes a remote with voice search and physical Netflix, Sling, and Google buttons on the remote. And it's $129 with the over-the-air adapter. So if you have an over-the-air antenna, you can plug it in and be able to get those cable channels seamlessly. Or you can just get $99 for just the box without the over-the-air component. And if you're a Sling TV subscriber, you get a $50 credit on the box. So it's kind of like a no-brainer at that point. And this is a real interesting merging of streaming content plus an over-the-air antenna plus Sling's catalog, channel guide and all that sort of stuff, seamlessly merging what you watch via streaming and what you can watch from your antenna. Somebody who's a cord cutter like me, this box seems like I love the idea of this box. Derek, what do you think of this? Is this over-the-air integration something worth looking at?
I'm really excited for this. I'm a cord cutter as well, and for the longest time I've been looking at Sling, PlayStation View, recently DirecTV Now, and I haven't jumped the ship or jumped on board with any of those yet. And now that I see that there's a set-top box that is going to merge over-the-air channels with that's definitely pretty exciting, because I thought that wasn't going to be available until Nougat, because I know it's not available on the Shield TV. I've been watching that. You can use another piece of hardware and accomplish that, but just with a little USB dongle plug in and plug it into your antenna, it's not that easy. That doesn't exist yet as far as I know. So I'm definitely excited for this, and I'm going to have to I don't know. My wallet might not be happy with me because I might buy one and go on board with the whole merging of the channels. I really like that option.
The thing it's missing, and the thing I have a hard time not having in things like this, I've been using the PlayStation Vue for quite a few months now, and it has the cloud DVR functionality. And man, it'd be really hard to not have DVR because a lot of times, it's not like I sit down to watch on TV's schedule. I sit down to watch when I can, and if the thing's there, then great, I watch it.
That's a really good point, and that requires storage, and so that would probably jack the price up considerably as well.
Well, and I don't even know if with this there is any sort of DVR capability out of the box the way it is right now. Maybe eventually that would actually be a pretty compelling feature of Android TV if they could kind of build that into the OS itself. Some sort of support for DVR functionality would be nice. Would definitely kind of heighten the capabilities of Android TV as a technology. Maybe more people would use it because I feel like you don't see it very much.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, so I like it, except for the kind of Fisher Price look of the gadget.
It really does look Fisher Pricey, doesn't it? I mean, like that white and blue color scheme and the buttons, it just really does.
Oversized buttons. Asus Zenfone AR leaked, thanks to a Qualcomm announcement post that was quickly taken down after it initially posted yesterday. But of course, it was too late because this is the internet. Cat's out of the bag. This is to be the second Tango phone. It will likely be announced at Asus's press conference tomorrow at CES. It's a Snapdragon 821, support for Daydream, and works with the Daydream viewer. Evleaks on Twitter actually posted photos of the device as well, which is what you see linked to here. So it looks like, looks like a pretty reasonable device when you compare it to the look of the previous Tango device, which was the oh man, what was that? I always blank on the name of it. Anyways, it was really large. It was like
the Lenovo Fab 2.
Fab 2 Pro or whatever, yeah. Which, man, I saw that thing in person and I was like, whoa, okay, that's way too large to be your everyday phone. So hopefully this is a little bit closer to a normal size, but I don't know. Derek, are you intrigued by kind of the capabilities of Project Tango? Do you have any use for it? Like, what do you think about it being?
And the fact that this device, the Zenfone AR, will have Tango and Daydream support, something that is not available yet.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That I'm assuming that's going to give us more. Well, AR obviously, but it's going to give us a better AR or VR experience that we don't have yet. I mean, does that mean better head tracking, better or true augmented reality games, but with the Daydream View headset? There's a lot. A lot of questions that this lays the ground for. What are the plans for the merging of these two, and is this going to set the are we going to see a lot more of this in the future? Would the next group of phones support both technologies as well? It's definitely going to be a interesting space to watch this develop for sure.
Yeah, when as I've seen Tango over the last couple of years, and then kind of this collision with VR and Daydream and everything. And we talked, Ron and I talked about this a little bit yesterday on TNT, but I'm really realizing a few things right now. Those two technologies seem perfect for each other because everybody's kind of jumping over themselves to try and do this inside out positional tracking. And that's kind of what Project Tango is all about. It's kind of like a way to do this on your mobile device, scan the area that surrounds you, 3D map it, and then it can track your position throughout the room, right? Couple that with VR and you got inside out tracking. Maybe it takes a little bit of time for you to like learn the room. Maybe that's some pre-setup that you have to do, but then you throw it on and you got it. I think what prevents this, because nowhere in here does it say, at least in this leak, and maybe we'll find out more tomorrow, but nowhere in here does it say that both features could be done simultaneously. And now that I'm thinking about it, it probably won't. Google has not announced any sort of crosstalk between those two technologies yet. So unless Google has some sort of announcement timed for this for tomorrow, that's probably not going to happen. And then B, in order for Project Tango devices to do any of that magic, it requires access to those cameras that are on the back side. And if you're throwing that into a Google or into a VR viewer, that normally, and take the View as the example, covers that up, then those sensors are gone and you don't have access to that anymore. Unless maybe once you've mapped the room, you can put it in there. But I guess I don't understand how Tango actually kind of actively tracks itself after you've mapped the room. Maybe that can be done without the cameras, but I'm not sure. So
we're really trying to figure out what the point is to include both of these technologies together. You know,
now we're back here.
There needs to be a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe it's just the fact that Project Tango is another type of technology that is cool. Let's also include this, include it on this phone. Daydream is a spec that maybe in some ways on a certain level of devices is relatively easy for manufacturers to hit going forward based on the specs they're already putting in. So Daydream compatible. It's just another thing for the box, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're making a leap and an assumption by saying that Project Tango and Daydream will merge together and do something.
I want it to. That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. But it could just be a phone that has Tango functionality, and then you can throw the visor on and use Daydream.
Yeah, the more we take a look at this and talk about it, the more I think that's probably exactly what it's going to be. And I hope for a day in a world where both of those technologies combine together, because I think they're made for each other. They really should. That should be Google's way of doing Inside Out, but
it should be. But one of the technologies that I do love, and that's really interesting, is AR. I think augmented reality is amazing. And anytime you talk about augmented reality and glasses, previously we brought up the specter of Google glasses, and it had a real dark cloud on it. But now with Snapchat Snaps spectacles, kind of easing the way into glasses as hardware. CES, of course, has another company offering up some interesting approach to AR and glasses. The Osterhaunt Design Group is a company that makes primarily enterprise and military hardware, but they've announced that they're releasing the first AR glasses for the consumer market, the R8 and R9 smart glasses. All right, these are they look very much like sunglasses that use Qualcomm's recently announced Snapdragon 835 processor that was made for an application just like this, and it's all built on Android Nougat, whatever. They're saying these are glasses for the masses. And they allow you to utilize, that's really bad. They allow you to utilize email, web browsing, watch movies, mobile virtual reality, interactive augmented reality. So basically, it's kind of the dream that we've hoped for, kind of a smart pair of glasses. The R9 has a 1080p resolution with 128 gig of storage, 50 degrees field of view, and a 13 megapixel front-facing camera, and it sells for. And Jason, Derek, are you guys sitting down?
Yeah, here. Let me take a drink of my coffee while you say this.
Okay, yeah. It sells for $1,800.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's not $9,000, which I would have actually done a spit take.
Price conscious, right there.
Yeah,
exactly. But if you don't have $1,800 to spend, not to worry, because the R8 is at a much lower price. It's got 720p resolution, a 40 plus degree field of view, dual 1080p stereo cameras, and this one is under $1,000. So it's more affordable for the lower cost tier of your augmented reality fans. So I
want to know what you're doing with these glasses. As a consumer, what are you doing with these glasses? I guess maybe the applications have not been proven yet, but.
Picture this, all right? I know Petaluma is a little more of a sleepy town, but let's say you're down in San Francisco and you're commuting to a job downtown. You throw on your R8s, and as you're going, you
Step into the future.
You can scan your email as you're sitting there on Muni, and you can Flo could ride Bart and be able to watch a movie while she's just sitting there, as well as see what's going on around her. It's the future, man. This is what's gonna happen.
This is the future, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about these. I mean, I guess this is the direction of AR glasses, which is to make glasses that integrate the technology, but that don't look so much like you're wearing technology on your face. This is better. This is closer to that. Seems really expensive for the general consumer, though.
I don't know if these solve that problem either.
Yeah.
Like, because
it's a step in the right direction compared to what we've seen.
If you look at Josh, if we can zoom in on the photo of the dude wearing the glasses, right? A, they look weird, but B, those the arms or the behind his ear, that's very thick.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of technology packed into those glass arms. I don't know. Derek, would you wear these around in public or?
As a guy that wore these things that are on my face now for about 2 years, I wouldn't. I don't know why.
But you wore that. For 2 years.
I thought this was okay for 2 years, but I don't know. I think they're a little too big and not inconspicuous. Not saying that this is, easily indiscernible from the rest of my face, but
it just blends right in. I mean, serious.
I'd have to try them on, but I think I want something a little less bulky.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know how we get there if battery technology doesn't improve immensely, and change the fact that you need a lot of battery to power things that are doing the things that we're expecting these glasses with driving displays to do. I don't know how you get there. Someday maybe battery technology will be to that point and things will be miniaturized to the point to where it will be a smaller form factor. This is a step in the right direction, though. It's just I just don't know why. I want to know. I want to know what a killer app is for this, because they did also say, yes, this brings in the app ecosystem of Android, but it also brings in its own kind of platform that developers can develop for. I want to know what those experiences are. And maybe you put it on and then you go, wow, that's really super cool. Okay, I get it. But I don't see that yet. It's not for watching. I wouldn't pay $1,500 to watch movies in that thing.
It's 1080p, Jason. It's 1080p.
I don't even know what that means. You put 1080p in front of your eyeballs, you might just be looking at pixels still.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyways. Well, what about smart bicycles? Leeco or Leeco? Is that what we decided it was? I can never remember. Leeco. They had their smart bike that they showed off a few months ago. Apparently it's coming to the US. The Smart Road and the Smart Mountain bikes, they have two different ones made for different scenarios, obviously, have a 4-inch touchscreen, navigation, plus fitness and contact features. They can also track location in the case that they're stolen, let's say, because a bike that's packing that much technology will probably be targeted, I have to imagine. You can also sound off an alarm in that case. Expected in the U.S. in the second quarter of this year. No price as of yet. Apparently all these smart bikes can talk to each other. They have a 6,000 milliamp hour battery running Bike OS, which is based on Android 6.0. Is this the bike of the future, Derek? Is this your new bike someday? Or a bike like this?
Yeah, I think I would. If I was a mountain biker, there's lots of trails around here. I guess I could, mix my two worlds together of, outdoors and technology. But at the same time, I don't really care that much about fitness. I know I should. Maybe that's why I need a bike like this. So I do care about fitness.
Yeah.
But it seems like a little too fancy for this guy. We'll see. I'd have to try it out, and use it, and then be sold on the fact of why I need it when I can just get a lot of those those fitness metrics, from a smart watch or another wearable. I don't know why I need it in my bike yet. Someone needs to sell me on that.
Because you can.
Because you can.
Seems to be the way of technology.
The same reason I wore these in my face, because I could. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe I've gotten smart since then. I spent $1,500 on this thing, and then now I'm gun shy. I don't want to blow money on things I'm not going to use for a prolonged period of time.
However, I should also point out, there was a time when we were wearing Google Glass, and we only talk this way now because like that was a few years ago. Like we're removed from the situation, and maybe we've learned things over time. But there was a time when we were genuinely excited about that technology.
Oh yeah,
technology just moves in weird ways.
It was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like,
technology moves in strange ways, and you know, it's good at a point, and it changes.
I will say, and Jason, that's a great point, but I'm not a biker at all. I don't think I've ridden a bike since my teen years. But I did see the smart bicycle, the Leica smart bicycle, in their little pop-up showroom here in New York City, and I gotta admit, it looked pretty cool. Like, it's the kind of thing where, as someone who's not into bicycling, I would consider it because of the technology.
Right.
So.
I'm curious to know how expensive they're going to be.
Oh, very expensive. It's going to be very expensive. Come on.
Then the question is it worth it?
The sunglasses are $1,800. How much is a regular bike? Like, imagine a regular bike plus a phone on it. Like, it's going to be very expensive.
Very true.
Gosh. We'll talk about even more expensive. You want a car? How about a car with a little mix of Android in there? Google and Fiat Chrysler partnered up to tweak the Uconnect system from Fiat Chrysler's already existing infotainment system to include Google services like Google Maps and, wait for it, Google Assistant. The system is based on AOSP and Nougat, so not Android Auto. And basically, this is kind of what happens when a brand wants to retain their already established visual and brand identity while using Android. Android Auto doesn't allow for any UI modification or kind of front end kind of changes. And Fiat Chrysler has already had Uconnect for several years now. So what they're doing is they're taking their system and layering it on top of Android and adding in Google Maps, which is great, and Google Assistant, which I don't think we've seen any mention of that existing in Android Auto. So this is going to be in an 8.4-inch screen, and it's currently a concept. It's not available yet, but it's coming down the pike. But Derek, you had mentioned before the show that you have Android Auto, right?
Yeah, you know what, Ron? This is actually what I want. I've had Android Auto now for about 14 or 15 months, and I like it. I use it every day in my 45-minute commute each way to and from work. But what I don't like is the fact that Android Auto doesn't do more. It's not fully integrated. It's a separate app, a separate interface. Like Google Maps doesn't pop up in front of me on the dials, or I'm sorry, where my dashboard is, and say turn here. It doesn't have an arrow there. Whereas the built-in navigation system does that, or when I'm low on gas, it pops up and says, hey, you go find fuel. I click on go find fuel, and it takes me to the built-in map system. It doesn't use Google Maps. When I want to change the satellite radio or the regular radio, I got to exit Android Auto to do that. It's just, I want Android to be more consistent experience through the car. And if we have to, kind of skip Android Auto to go to a full-blown infotainment system, all done by Android, I think that's awesome. And from what we saw at I/O, that was exciting. I want to see more.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it all depends on, like, if you're building this, if you're connecting this into your already established infotainment system, even though I hate that word. But it's the word that it is. It's just, it always sounds dorky to me. But if you're doing that, hopefully your existing system is good enough. That's one thing that I liked about Android Auto, is that aesthetically I liked the approach of it. But I totally understand what you're saying, Derek, which is that, Google has really limited it specifically because it wants to control the experience, and it doesn't want to overcomplicate things and all this kind of stuff. And in doing so, maybe it's not as specific to any one particular vehicle. It's almost like generic, all-encompassing, built around your phone, but how does it really talk to the unique aspects of your car? And this is one way that you can kind of get the best of both worlds. In our family, we're starting to accept the fact that we have to start looking for a new car, and I'm trying to weigh the importance in our choice of this sort of thing. How important is this in the grand scheme of all of the elements that you have to factor when you get a new car. Is infotainment system at the top of that list? I feel like it's not, but it's certainly a concern. I don't know if that means definitely getting Android Auto and eliminating anything that doesn't have it, or expanding out beyond that. And, I guess I just don't know yet.
I was kind of forced to get a new car when somebody T-boned me, 15 months ago. So I started only looking at cars that had Android Auto. But that's me and my.
Yeah, I would do the same. Allegiance. I would do the same thing. Yeah, I would do the same thing. Don't worry, Derek. You're fine. You're good. So.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and thank a sponsor of this episode before we get into our apps news here. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage, by Quicken Loans. This is for anyone who's ever gone through the mortgage process, or even if you haven't. If you want to buy a house, like there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through to get that house. You'll find the right place and it's right for you, but in order to get there, secure that loan, all of these steps, all this information that you have to pull from a million different places, it can be a challenge to kind of collect this stuff and really kind of get it together, get it collected, depending on, I'm not the most organized person personally, and so sometimes pulling all this information that's required for this stuff is just kind of a pain because I'm not good at keeping it organized to begin with. So finding it can be a challenge. Well, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans helps make this a heck of a lot easier. When it comes to that big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, it's important that you work with someone that you can trust, who has your best interest in mind. With Rocket Mortgage, you're going to get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. So you don't waste time searching through stacks of paperwork, through your files to try and find that information. You don't have to do that. With Rocket Mortgage, you can securely share your financial information to get a mortgage approval in minutes. Do it all digitally. You can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time, so you can make sure to get the mortgage solution that's right for you and your unique situation. Whether you're looking to buy a home or even refinancing your existing mortgage, you can lift the burden of getting a home loan by using Rocket Mortgage. So skip the bank, skip the waiting, go completely online. It's quickenloans.com/Android. Go to quickenloans.com/Android. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org. number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. All right, it's time for some apps. Very light apps news, but we've got a few. All right, Ron, this was your edition, and I'm happy you caught it because I missed this. Say again, you're suddenly muted. Did you mute on your end?
Sorry, I was muted. I was muted during the ad, and I didn't hit the button. I apologize. So some chilling news towards at the end of 2016 from Nielsen about apps. They released their annual report on the top 10 smartphone apps of 2016. Now, this is across all platforms, so Android and iOS. This is just all smartphones. And if we can pull up the page there, Josh, and show everyone the top smartphone apps of 2016, you will notice a interesting trend in that of the top 10, Facebook is responsible for 3 of them, and Google is responsible for 5 of them. So that's the number 1 app is Facebook. The number 2 is Facebook Messenger, followed by YouTube, Google Maps, Google Search, Google Play, Gmail, Instagram, Apple Music, and the Amazon app, which shows that, any situation where 2 companies are responsible for 8 of the top 10 apps, to me, I find chilling. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe it's just the way of the world. But if I was an independent developer, I would be thinking of ways to build apps that Facebook or Google want to buy.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that's at the top of a lot of developers' wish list. Is make a service that makes sense or is timed just right with the way the market is going. That they swoop in and because you don't compete with this as an independent developer, it's impossible to compete with this. If you're competing with this, you are one of those companies or of that caliber, because this is just insane usage numbers. So Apple Music number 9. I mean, well, those are pre-installed. I mean, that's got to be because they're feeding it, and like doing so much with it. So
yeah.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Google Play, that's an app that's pre-installed on Android devices. So, of course, that's on the list.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised to see Facebook Messenger as number 2, to be honest. I didn't know that it was that popular. I don't use it. I've never used it. I've never had it installed, but I'm obviously a minority.
It's because they broke the Messenger out of the Facebook app. So if you use Messenger, you can't get that functionality through the Facebook app. You have to download the Messenger app. Like that was their insidious kind of way to get people to install the Messenger app. You didn't fall for it, but hundreds of millions of people did. So
because
I know the pain of opening up Facebook and then going to desktop mode to be able to view from the mobile site to be able to view a message if somebody happened to send me a message and I want to get rid of that annoying notification. Yeah. So I didn't install the mobile messenger, but yeah, most people did.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider the 1 point some odd billion users of Facebook that were at that point it was less obviously, but that were using Messenger on a regular basis. Once you break it out, like they have no choice. They have nowhere to go but to that other app. So of course, just in sheer numbers, that's going to register. Yeah, very interesting. It's basically four main companies in the top 10: Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google. Yeah, that's pretty much crazy. The big ones. When you're talking about technology, that's pretty much the big ones.
That's the mobile world we live in now. Yeah. It's completely driven by Facebook and Google, and that's it. And Apple is barely on there because of the music app, nothing else. And then interesting to see that Amazon kind of eked by with the Amazon app. Those are the biggest names in tech.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And in other kind of news, Super Mario Run, if you think that's still a big deal, or if the kind of must-have buzz has burned off at this point. I mean, it's still not out on Android. It's still iOS only, but you can go to the Play Store now. You can pre-register for it at least, which means that someday it'll happen. Someday you'll get Mario running on your Android device. And if you already think that you have Mario running on your Android device, you've been had, and I don't know what to advise you to do, but something bad has probably happened to your phone, and don't do that. So, because I guess a lot of people are like downloading these fake Super Mario Run apps thinking that it's actually out. So don't do that.
I just wish I had thought of that. No, I don't. But I mean, it's pretty clever when you think about it. For the malicious app makers of the world, what is the app that everyone's talking about? Go replicate it, and unfortunately prey on people who don't know what they're installing. That's,
Yep. There's one more reason why, as a company with the means to do so, why not just release on both platforms? Why not? You save people that way. There's probably reasons. They probably have reasons.
Oh, there's a very large check from Apple that said that was their number one reason. Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, the very first arena of 2017. Let's get to it.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
All right, first of all, let's check in on a few weeks ago. We had a poll when it didn't really matter because the guests had already won. They'd already sealed the deal. But checking in on the poll from a couple of weeks ago, Cheeky Fingers lost. That was mine. Who was the winner? Signal. Of course, Signal won. That's like 2016 in a nutshell. At least the last half of 2016 in a nutshell is. Private Messenger, yes, that's going to win. That won with 54% of the vote. Second place was Kerflux, which was Flo's app game, 24% there. Third place was Stash, 12%. Cheeky Fingers with a weird name, 10%. So there we go. Those stats aren't really included to anything moving forward. That was just like the end of year poll, and doesn't matter for 2017. Things are different in 2017.
Oh yeah,
we've changed things.
We've conferred, and we're making some changes.
So yeah, maybe we talk about kind of the changes at the end. Let's start with the apps themselves.
Okay.
So I was the loser. Only because that would be the time that we would normally bring it up.
Fair enough. All right, it's a tease. There you
go. So stay tuned because there are changes to the arena. So I will go ahead and go first. My app is called Screens, and this works on devices that are capable of doing the dual screen, essentially Nougat devices. Notice how we're saying it this way. You want to, and some people in chat are like, seriously, get over it. Look, when Hiroshi Lockheimer comes on your show and corrects you, you change. Your attitude changes. So there we go. So that there are changes. It's not the easiest change in the world, but I'm trying. My app is called Screens Multi-Window Manager on Nougat. You have the ability to do split-windowed apps, and Screens is a way to easily jump into pre-configured split-window apps, essentially. So you can see right down here, if you could read that whole thing, it says browser math. Why? Because when I tap it, it launches a browser down here and my calculator up top. It just does it automatically. All I had to do was tap that one thing, and I can go to, apparently Guitar Center was where I went to last, and I can add up all the things I'm going to buy in Guitar Center and type them up here and show that I'm about to spend $364,905,216 on whatever I'm buying at Guitar Center, which is basically the entire company. And I've got, it just launches right into split window. So you can think about any number of ways that you could customize your own split screen use cases. And I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. I'm showing off a launcher in today's arena, so going home will always be like that until we show it off. But anyways, you can configure it.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, Ron. It's okay. So I can go into Screens here to set it up, and it's not the sexiest UI in the world on setting it up, but it does the purpose. You touch the plus button up top, thinks about it for a second, and then it pulls up all the apps that you have installed, so you can find the app that you want to go in the top. Let's say that is, I don't know, Docs. Sure, we'll go, or Drive. Sure, and then on the bottom one, I would go into it. It would think again, and then because it's just easy and right here, calculator. And then I can name it, docs and calculator, or whatever I want the shortcut to be named, create the shortcut. We'll go back home, and boom, there it is. It pulls up, and now I have to hope that I don't show anything by doing this, and there we go. All right, there we go. There's my drive up top. There's my calculator down at the bottom, and that, as they say, is that. So it's called Screens Multi-Window Manager. It is free, and you should check it out if you like split screening things. Okay. I think we normally go with guest in the middle slot. So Derek, you are up next. I have your app installed, so I'll try and show it off while you talk about it.
So I've been using this app for about a year now. It's called Safe and Cloud Password Manager. The app allows you to store your own database your database with all your passwords on your own storage wherever you want. So that way you're not relying on maybe LastPass infrastructure or something like that. So you have the option to store your data on Google Drive, on Dropbox, OneDrive, OwnCloud, basically all the major cloud storages are out there. So I chose to use Google Drive because, I have two-factor set up there, and that's, where I store all my stuff. So I'm kind of in control where all my passwords are stored. But it's similar to other password apps where you can add your own passwords for various websites, maybe cards you use, computer passwords, network passwords, and so forth. But this app has Android Wear support, which is very cool. So you can choose which you can choose which passwords are then saved to Android Wear. If you don't want them all saved to Android Wear, maybe you only want a couple saved to Android Wear. It has fingerprint authentication for secure and fast, easy access. You can generate random passwords. There's a free desktop app, so you can use it on your Mac or Windows computer, and also browser extensions. So the only thing you would have to pay for would be the Android app, which is $299 for Pro. There's a free version, and I'm sorry, I don't know the difference between the two because I've been using the Pro version for a year now. But it has strong 256-bit AES encryption, and said it's cross-platform, and I like it. It's very, 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 very nice to the alternative that I was using. I used to use KeyPass for a long time, and while KeyPass works great, the material design UI and this sold me on it right off the bat. So I would say give it a try if you like apps that have Android Wear support, material design, as well as the ability to secure all your passwords in one place and randomly generate a password for each website that you use.
And so when you set up a password, so this file is stored wherever you're choosing to sync to it. So you kind of own that file. It
doesn't store it on your phone.
Right.
Well, it would sync it on your phone, but it doesn't only just store it there. It syncs it out to whatever cloud drive support you want to use. So if you have multiple devices, like your desktop, maybe you would then connect the desktop app to your Google Drive, and it would download sync the database there. Or if you have, a tablet or another phone or something like that. So it syncs the password database and all changes out to wherever your cloud storage is. So all of your devices have the same up-to-date version of your password master database. But you get to choose where it's saved, which I like the option of that. So if you prefer to use one cloud storage over another, you have that option.
Nice. That's great, because I think some people are a little reluctant to use like a cloud password manager like LastPass or whatever, because it can feel to some people like you're giving them everything that you have.
Yeah.
And then it's one point of failure for someone to access all this stuff. At least this way kind of puts you a little bit more into control. I guess you're still uploading it to cloud drives, but you don't have to. You can keep it all local.
Yeah, you can do your own NAS if you happen to run that in your house, or own cloud. I mean, you can use your own infrastructure, but if you're somebody that likes more control over, all your keys to your own kingdom, I'd say give it a try.
Nice. Safe in cloud, all one word. There's a free and a pro version for $299. That's awesome. I'm going to look more into that and check that out a little bit deeper. Safe in cloud.
That's a really dang cool app, Derek. That's I'm a little jealous there. So,
but Ron, you have a dang cool app too.
I do, yes. So I've been if you look at 2016's app stats, I steered away from launchers because I felt like the launcher game had really been played out.
Yeah.
We've seen so many different variations and things like that, and I really feel like the dust had kind of settled, and there's so much value to using Google's launcher, or to, using the launcher that you feel the most comfortable with, whether you want one with lots of customization, things like that. Admittedly, though, I did have Lens Launcher towards the end of the year last year, just because that was so wacky. I just had to show it. But in this particular case, I found a launcher that actually is a different approach, and a pretty effective one at that. It's called Fastkey Launcher. It was recently released. It's a new app, and basically what it does is it eliminates multiple screens from your launcher. So whether, going back to our app drawer argument, Jason, whether you have an app drawer or don't have an app drawer, quite often you install apps and they either get lost in the app drawer, they get lost in the multiple screens. What this does is changes your home screen to, as you can see here in the example, it adds a little keyboard. And then with ridiculously fast results, when you start typing in either the name of an app or the name of a contact, it comes up with the search results within your phone. So if you typed R, you would get my contact, or you can call me, or you can call Eileen if you want.
Yeah, or Father Robert Balasair.
Yeah, exactly. But as well as all the apps that start with R, and with the touch of one or two keys, you drill right down to either the app or the contact that is in your phone that you want to access. And when you think about it, when you're using your phone, when you're on that home screen, you're either launching an app or you're going to the phone to call somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And this eliminates multiple taps while using your phone, because as opposed to opening the phone app and searching your contacts and choosing a dial, you can just type in the first letter of somebody's name and boom, there it is, and you immediately go to call them. Same thing with an app. You think, I want to use Instagram, or I want to use Skype, or I want to use Netflix or whatever. They pop right up. You can customize the apps that show on the default screen. So if you back up, if you erase the keyboard, go back one more. See there, you've got Messenger, Snapchat, Instagram. You can customize all those to the apps that you use the most, as well as the bottom 4, like in every other one. Additionally, you can add widgets. So that if you want to have, either a Google search bar, you could use that cool search bar that I showed a couple of weeks ago as well to replicate the Pixel search bar. You can add all those widgets as well, and you can have multiple screens if you do want them. It doesn't eliminate those completely. So it's called Fast Key Launcher. It's free in the Google Play Store, and it's combining search with the idea of a launcher to let you drill down to either the apps or the contacts in your phone that much faster. So there you go.
Nice. Fast Key Launcher. It's fast. It's in the title. So we've got screens, multi-window manager. We've got safe in cloud, and we've got fast key launcher. All right, things a little different this year. I mean, the URL, at least right now, is still the same. bit.ly/AAA vote 299. I'm going to check with Patrick Delahanty here and see. I know that we have an in-house URL shortener. Probably makes sense to just go with something like that, as long as I can customize it so that it isn't like uppercase L, lowercase V, 29, you know what I mean? With those URL shorteners. I got to be able to customize it. So for now, it's bit.ly/AAA vote 299. We're doing polls this time. We're going to see how this works in Google Forms. So if you follow that link, you'll see a different landing page. We've got to kind of set up all about Android 299. Which app is your favorite? Is it screens? You've got the link to the app. You've got the icon. I pulled the icon in, so it gives it a little bit of flair, a little bit of eye candy.
Jason, this is very nice. I'm very proud of you. This is amazing.
Well, this was your idea initially. So then
True, it was. Yeah, but your execution is flawless. It's wonderful.
So and then personally, like pulling back the curtain a little bit, setting this up is actually way easier because I can do it far in advance and I can duplicate previous ones. So, anyways, there's reasons that I also like this. But I think the whole idea is just the fact that Google Plus more and more has been a limited community. We've been seeing voting numbers kind of dropping over time, and that's because less and less people are in fact like totally checking in on Google Plus. That was the original reason why we had our polls on Google Plus for quite a few years there. And all that this requires, we do limit it to a Google sign-in. That way we can control that everybody only places one vote, and kind of control people getting in there and kind of messing with things. At least hopefully that's the goal. So you will have to be signed into your Google account to place the vote. But I would guess that there's more of you that have a Google sign-in than have a Google Plus active account. And in which case, this makes it hopefully more available to more people to place votes and stuff like that. So bit.ly/AAA vote 299. Place your vote. Josh, which do you vote for? Fast Key Launcher gets the vote. Go ahead and submit down at the bottom. Don't forget that part.
Yay, Josh. Good
And there we go. And I think that you can see. Oh, and go see previous responses. Will it give you like the, will it give you the stuff?
You get a neat little graph.
All right.
And it's pretty cool. And you can see the percentage breakdown. Like Google has done a really good job with these forms. They've been slowly making little tweaks and changes and not really announcing them. And in fact, this is something that I didn't even know existed until Jason mentioned that, oh yeah, you get the responses. And I'm using this for iFanboy. And now I'm like, oh, I got to play with it more to see how else it changed. So it's pretty cool.
Now the other part of this is the scoring.
I was going to ask if we're dropping the big bomb here or not.
I think we're going to change the scoring mechanism this year too. Yep. Don't want to overcomplicate things, but we've been doing this for a long time now. Let's change it up a little bit. Why not? So I think what we've decided is that the first place gets 5 points. Basically, everybody gets a point of some sort. That way, if you're consistently second place, that says something. Like that's worth something, versus always being either first or last or whatever. So you get actually something for that. So first place would be 5 points. Second place, what did you say? It was going to be 3 points.
It's going to be 3 points. Yep.
Third place would be 2 points. Fourth place would be 1 point. I know that sounds confusing, but don't worry. We'll do the math. But basically it just means that everybody that plays, depending on how they do consistently over time, could actually raise their standings throughout the year. I don't know. Why not change things a little bit? Jeez.
Yeah. And we talked about it a lot. We had a couple of emails going, and like we've been doing the show for years now, and we've had the same kind of format, the popularity contest format, and adding in the points. This is actually very similar to how. And not to, I know people hate it when I talk about pinball, but in the pinball tournaments I do, when there's 4-player groups coming in, as opposed to someone coming in first and winning, the idea of everybody in the group getting points really allows somebody who consistently comes in second to possibly edge out somebody who comes in first once in a while, but comes in third or fourth most of the, you know what I mean? Like, so what happens is that it averages out the results. It's not is another chat room saying we all get a trophy. No, this isn't the way you get a trophy. It's just a fun way to mix up the points. So and when we don't have 4 people, it will just be 5, 3, 2. And we're gonna. The question is when we're gonna have more than 4 people. We rarely have more than 4 people in the arena, and we'll figure that out when the bridge comes to it.
Yeah, that hardly ever
we're just
happens.
having fun with it. But I do want to apologize to Wade County in the chat room, because now not only does he need to calculate the number of winners, but he's going to have to calculate the points. So maybe we figure out some sort of spreadsheet or something like that we can all work on to figure that out.
Yeah,
so.
maybe we could throw him a spreadsheet or something to make that.
So the thing is though is that someone will still win. Like the 2016 was the year the guest won, but as opposed to the total number of arena wins, it's the total points accumulated. So that's
based on your performance throughout the year. I think it makes perfect sense. We'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, hey, there's always 2018.
Yeah,
we can figure.
We're having fun. We're mixing it up. We're having fun.
Yeah. So that's the approach. That's the goal. Derek, I'm sorry if that was boring. This is all totally inside baseball.
I learned everything there is to know, I think, about polls and the scoring system. So, today I learned. That's good.
Good. We've enlightened many with our boring points talk here at the end of the show. At least we saved the boring part for the end of the show. Derek, it's a pleasure getting you on. Thank you so much for being on episode 299. Really great to have you here. Tell people where they can follow the work that you're doing in the world of Android. Where can they follow you?
I would say, even though we just talked about it being not as popular, I'm coincidentally I am most active on Google Plus.
Yeah.
At Plus Derek Ross, but also you can find me on Twitter at Derek M. Ross. There's a little M in there for my middle initial, as well as Fandroid.com. From time to time, I'm known to write a thing or two over there. So I guess that's about it.
Cool. So very curious on your thoughts real quick before we round things up. How have you seen, what are your thoughts on engagement with Google Plus? Because you've been steadfast with it over the years. How do you feel it's been in the past year?
The past year, that's actually a complicated question for me. I'll try to be short and sweet. So I personally haven't been that active over the past year in social media because of a new job, a new career path, and it just I'm very busy with that. But overall, my engagement is down, but my spam is way up.
Oh, that's good.
So there is a I guess that's a positive in a certain way. Anytime I post anything, half the comments are spam anymore, and that really turns me off.
Yeah.
So because of that, I've kind of been a little less active, but I've also been less active because of outside work issues as well.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I really like it. I was a diehard, and maybe I still am Google Plus fan. I mean, I have 1.3, 1.4 million followers there. Half of them are spam bots probably. But, I don't know. I'll keep using it until the Googs tells me that they're shutting it down. Hopefully they don't, because that's where I got my start in this whole Android game that we're on. So.
Yeah. I know what you mean, though, as far as the spam kind of interactions and everything there. And the more that happens, the more it just kind of sours the experience. And
exactly.
You don't think about it as much.
But I'm trying to use Twitter and Instagram more. I hate Facebook, but Twitter and Instagram, I'm on there as well. Hey, and if you're into drinking beer, Untapped, I'm on there too.
Excellent. We need to get Tapped in the arena one of these days. I don't think it's been in there yet.
I wanted to do Untapped, but it was episode 89.
Oh, was it? All right.
Yeah. I was going to do that because I've used it a lot over the break the past 2 weeks for checking in on my holiday beers and everything. I was going to do it, but it was an oldie, so I had to find something else.
Yeah.
Well, I think you picked wisely, but we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule too.
Well, thanks for having me again. It's been a while. I definitely appreciated being on here. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good to see you, Derek. Always great to have you.
Now, Ron, it is your turn. What you got?
It is my time. Yeah, it's a new year and new things happening. But yeah, most importantly, go listen to my other podcasts. Go listen to iFanboy over at ifanboy.com, where we talk about comic books and comic book movies and TV shows and all the fun stuff that comes out every week. And also check out my new podcast, Damn Fine Podcast, at damnfinepodcast.com, where I'm joined by one Mr. Tom Merritt, where we are discussing Twin Peaks at length from the first episode of the first season, and hopefully we're going to make it all the way up to the new season 3 that's coming later this year. It's very exciting for Twin Peaks fans. So if you like Twin Peaks, go check it out, please, at damnfinepodcast.com.
Yes, do that. Thank you again, Ron. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Yes.
And to next week's episode of 300. We have this to look forward to.
Man, I'm nervous.
I'm
super nervous.
I know. Josh, what about you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at @themacandjosh. Is where you can find me there, and also Snapchat and Instagram. I'm the same handle on all of them.
Good to be consistent.
Yeah, so that's about it.
All right. Okay.
Pretty much just, if you have a bird, if you have a parrot, definitely follow me because we'll be friends.
That's very specific.
Great.
Very specific.
Android fans.
Very specific audience. Yeah.
Yes, Android fans that watch Twit and have parrots.
Yes, the Venn diagram.
Those are the people. Those are the people that I'm focusing on my social networking. So
it's a sliver, but it's a significant sliver.
Right.
Thanks again, man. Really appreciate it. About.me/Jason Howell for myself. YellowGoldMusic.com. I'm trying to set up like a New Year's goal. Like I gotta move on from the music that I've been working and just like push it out. So sometime this year. But man, life is crazy. But if it's going to show up anywhere, it's going to be at YellowGoldMusic.com. Before we get into the end of show music thing, you guys asked for a Twit store, apparently, and now you've got one, twit.tv/store. All sorts of Twit branded merchandise, new designs every week. Some old favorites are going to be cycled in there as well. And coming soon, sometime, I'm told, show-specific merchandise. I'm just saying. Maybe, Josh, if you want to come out to the wide shot, maybe, or to my single or whatever, maybe we can get this mashup of the Android guy with the Twit logo on a shirt. I've had many people ask me for this. Let's make it happen.
What? That would be a cool shirt, Jason, but you know what also would be a cool shirt?
What's that?
An arena shirt.
What would the design be? We could, we could figure that out.
That could be cool.
I think this needs to happen. So twit.tv/store for what we've got there and what's coming somewhere in the future. I don't know when that other stuff will happen, but it needs to happen, dang it. People have been asking, so let's make it work. But that is it for this week's show. Thank you so very much. Voicemails can be left at 347-SHOW-AAA, as always. You can send us email or video mail. Hey, send us a video mail timed with episode 300. I would love to see your faces. We'd love to play some of your video mails on the show next week about that. AAA at twit.tv. Just send the link. Twitter, we are at Android Show. Reddit, we are twitaaa.reddit.com. Show notes and past episodes found at twit.tv/AAA. Episodes also on YouTube, iTunes, Pocket Casts, all over the map. And you can catch us live every Tuesday around 5:30 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everyone.